I'm aware that probably a lot of people will tell others that they have a love for the job, but I can rightfully say every larger game IP that's out there and that has been a multiplayer IP, um, probably not every, but many of them I played thousands of hours, like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
I don't even know how much, but definitely more than 3,000 hours. I said that in the past, EVE Online, more than 2,000 hours. Currently, I'm playing Battlefield 6. This all started when I was 7, 8 years old. Back then, not multiplayer, or at least not online multiplayer. Multiplayer it was. So I was at a friend's house. They had the new Atari Pong game back then. It was in the 80s. For somebody like you, quite some long time ago, basically the scenery we now all see in Netflix super show Stranger Things, a setting like this, and there was this Atari console, and I played Pong, and so this was not only like that; it was a game for me. It was entirely fascinating that I have a controller in my hand, and then I can control something on a screen. So this whole concept of being in charge of something that is virtually happening, that was that was a miracle for me.
It was mind-blowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because until then, TV was something you looked into and something happened, you haven't had any influence on it. And then all of a sudden, there were these small stripes going up and down, and you could, I mean, it was a very basic game, it was a small ball, which wasn't even a ball because it was a square. And it bounced between these two like tennis racks, but they were just stripes. And you had to make sure that on your side of your field you don't lose the ball to the infinity, but that you push it back. And I played this with my 8-year-old friend. His parents had bought this, and this was crazy for me. So, and yeah, and that was, I think, really the moment where I uh, it follows me ever since, and my fascination never got smaller since that day. So when I do have real free time, I'm playing games, and that's still today.
And just tell me more about this fascination of MMORPGs, because I share that with you. I think my first coming to gaming moment is when I realized you can play online with other people. I was even playing these weird MMOs that were just grindy and laggy, and
Hmm.
I was constantly getting disconnected. And it was prior to World of Warcraft, but I would eventually stumble onto it, and it blew my mind. It was incredible to be able to play with other people, to explore these incredible virtual worlds, and
Yeah.
I would die as a World of Warcraft character, and then as a ghost I would try to run to my friends from Don Moreau to the wetlands, confused on how I get back and just start playing, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
meet other people online. I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah. I
how
get
was
that.
that for you?
Yeah, I get, and interesting that you say this because I very much remember my first 1 or 2 hours in World of Warcraft. I
Yeah.
mean, World of Warcraft was, I remember back then when this all started, I was playing Freelancer, an incredible game that is until today to a certain degree a bit underrated, if you ask me. So Freelancer was a space craft simulation, and we were playing this as a bunch of not friends with regards to we know each other from the real world, but I met these people online years before in real-time strategy games, and we played together, and then we played that Freelancer. And during the time when Freelancer, when we met end game content and level, there was EVE Online. And I started playing EVE Online back 2004. And I remember early 2005, World of Warcraft had its like public release. And we were playing a lot EVE Online, and then we switched over to World of Warcraft. And the first 1 or 2 hours in World of Warcraft, I very much still remember because I was running as a um, we were not Horde, we were Alliance, and we were just like walking the woods peacefully, picking flowers and starting to be druids and having fun with our mixtures and recipes and all stuff. And all of a sudden, there was a somebody coming from Horde. It was a super large. What were they called? These like
These
cow
realms.
Yeah,
or was it
these cow type
the
guys.
Tauren.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and this thing was just slaying us. You know, we were like, oh my god. And this electricity from, okay, this is dangerous here. You know, you can
This is
die.
real, yeah.
That's real, and you lose stuff. And oh my god, we need to work together, we need to protect ourselves, we need to arm ourselves and all that. Yeah, I mean, that was really mesmerizing, and it kept us for, I don't remember, probably but 2 to 3 years. um so, and that this is I had this ever since. On the other side, um there's a second big love I always had. That was advertisement. So when I was a little kid watching TV commercials, this was as well like, oh, that's awesome. Like all these, how the storytelling, the products you saw, that, yeah, got me almost as much as the games got me. And so, and this was rather something, gaming was for me always something that is entertainment, that is hobby, that is my free time. But my job was much stronger, basically almost only yeah, focusing on this commercial advertising marketing side of things for a long time. um, and after years and years working in marketing, when I finally had the chance to do something in the gaming world, then I jumped on it, because I wouldn't say I had mastered marketing back then to 100%. I even doubt you can ever do, but I was still learning. I was already responsible for a team, but I was obviously still learning stuff. And then I met a games industry guy, and this we got good friends. You know, I think one of the reasons why he interested me so much, in addition to his personality, he's a brilliant thinker and a very empathetic person. Um, he was from the games industry, and I never met people from that industry before, and he was telling me stories. So he had founded a studio, and he was in charge of a production company. And for the first time, I really got in touch with the metrics. What is a producer like? How is a game being funded? What are yeah, the pitfalls of games development and games production? And when I heard the stories he was talking about, I realized that there's so much marketing obviously involved in all of this. It's so much about what marketing is. And I'm not talking about advertising, I'm really talking about marketing. Because in an ideal marketing world, marketing needs to entertain you, or at least emotionally attract you. So that's the most important part. And the very same assigns to games. An extremely good game takes you onto a journey, onto an emotional journey, and the same, a very good marketing concept should do as well. So, and this was where I realized, okay, with what I have learned in the marketing world, I can surely be an of value or an asset in the gaming industry as well. And so, with this guy together, we founded a very small project. We wanted to establish a small publisher, and then, as it goes in life, one thing added and another thing added, and ultimately it brought me to Nitrado many years later. So this is, I'd say, the most, yeah, condensed story of how I got into this function. You know, it's the love both for marketing on the one hand and games on the other hand.
Did it feel like a big bet at the time to go from kind of marketing to into games, or bringing marketing into games? Or like, from what it sounds like to me, the gaming industry was a bit obfuscated for you. Like, it wasn't clear how the mechanics worked, and it felt like a challenge. Like, it was something
Yeah,
completely different.
yeah,
How was that in reality?
yeah. I agree to you. So I was very, let's say, I missed the word now in English. So I needed to learn a lot again. You know, so you basically start from scratch when you have not been part of an industry, but have been a super extensive customer of that industry, you could think that you really know what's going on, which would be dangerous because being a customer of something doesn't necessarily know the business side of things. So I think I had an idea about what might be going on, but as soon as I started to cooperate and work together with this very experienced person, it became totally clear to me that I have no clue about the other side of things. So I had to start new from scratch about a new to learn about a new industry. What are the rules there? What are the pitfalls there? What does you make successful? Which are all the players? Like from the outside, you think, okay, there is a studio, as a player, all these names. There are some very large names out there, probably one of the biggest being Activision or Rockstar Games. So these logos and games and a bit of the stories behind them. So you think, okay, there is Rockstar Games. They make that game and then they sell that game. So that's only a fraction of the story, because there are developers, there are co-developers, then there are there are production companies, there are companies that fund this thing, then there are the publishers. Former times there have been the distributors in addition. Then you have the whole marketing side of things. You have the content creators nowadays, earlier days influencers, the let's players. You have a lot of agencies in between that, brokers sometimes, and then you have all the networks you have to put your advertisements on, and so on and so forth, the social networks, and so on and so forth. So the value chain is there's so much more actors in this. But this only becomes clear as soon as you step into this and make your way through that, complexity.
And has it gotten bigger? Because I imagine, look, if
Mhm.
we add the kind of new kind of the streamers and all these new kind of communities that are coming into games, but
Yeah,
you've watched it grow, I imagine,
yeah.
from
So my perception is absolutely yes. It has become bigger. I mean, on the one hand, through the platforms, which where stuff happens now. Former days, you had consoles and PCs, and then you had browser games in addition. There was a large thing for quite some time, and it still is. There are still very successful browser games out there, especially in countries that have not the level of hardware where every household has a console or a PC around, So, but they still can play on browsers. Then the mobile games started to be a global phenomenon and will ever be. Then small consoles hit the market. Back then there was a Game Boy. That is not something that happened lately. I perfectly well remember the Game Boy in the '80s, so that was probably the first handheld, as far as I remember. Nowadays you have the Steam Deck, you have the Nintendo Switch, and so on. So there's coming then the virtual reality devices came in. So there's a new platform every other year. So that is one thing, how the complexity grows. And then on the marketing side of things, there is a lot of every new technology is being somehow leveraged by marketing or somehow being used by marketing. So there is another complexity added because there you can, regardless of how good your game is, a good additional marketing for the game will always be helpful. And bad marketing will always be a big obstacle for a successful game. So, and marketing has been significantly evolving in the last 20 years. There's so many things that have been new and so that is a side. And then there is the whole tech side of things where I'm not the most competent person, but on the tech side of things, obviously a lot happens, especially with AI now. That's the latest new challenge or chance, it depends on from which side you see it. If you are a person that works in the creative part of things, it might be felt currently probably rather as a challenge. For economical participants of this industry, it might be felt rather as a chance. For players currently, it's not something they truly appreciate at the moment. So we need to see where all that goes. But again, something is coming in. And for marketing, the same thing as science. So AI will change marketing, obviously, at least digital marketing, obviously entirely. So the big game to on search engine advertising, know your stuff. On search engine optimization, know your stuff, be good there, master it, and then you will, at least for most of the products in the world, have a good solid base for doing your stuff. That is, it will probably still exist in 5 years, but it will not be as important anymore, and it won't be as important for gaming. So you will now have the challenge: how do I get AI to recommend my products? How do I get AI to fully understand my product, my pricing, my service, whatever it is? So there might be a new term raising, or it's already there. I've never read it, but it's obvious that there's something like AI optimization, and there will soon be in GPT, Gemini 3, and in others, there will soon be something like search engine advertising. It will be, what do we call it? Artificial intelligence advertising. So yeah, it is continuously evolving, and you always need to stay on top of this game, because otherwise you will let market advantages, unique selling propositions, you will leave them on the table, and that will be bad.
I did a workshop yesterday on Agentic AI, which I had no idea
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
And I was using this tool called Crew AI, and you can
yeah,
create these agents that
yeah,
are like, one is the researcher, the other one is the
yes.
sentiment analysis, the other one's the
Mm-hmm,
report writer. And I was absolutely blown away. Not because I'm looking at this and thinking, oh, it's going to replace people, but like, you're going to have dedicated functions of research and
mm-hmm,
analysis and just an output that you can tweak and perfect. And then my mind started rushing, thinking, where does this apply? It obviously can apply to research itself. It can apply to an analysis of sentiment in a community, or digital marketing and creating these
yes.
ads. Um, how were you, what are your thoughts on agentic AI in general, like
Mm-hmm,
especially for digital marketing? Because you mentioned how with marketing you need to leverage new technology is leveraged by new marketing,
mm-hmm,
right? So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
what does that really mean for someone listening that wants to get into marketing in games?
Yeah, I think we are seeing a very early phase of all of this, right? So we shouldn't think that what we have today is the end game. I think the end game is not even visible for people like us, not being part of the scientific teams working on LLMs and working on agentic applications. So it will be much crazier. I think I perceive ourselves being in, let's say, in the year 2000, in the Google AdWords universe. I remember perfectly well back then. So I was starting Google ad campaigns. 2001, I think, were the first ones. I was having my hands on them. And back then, there was much less possible than today. And with AI, the evolution will go much steeper, So as artificial intelligence can learn by itself and can optimize itself. So agentic AI in marketing, I think we will see a lot of jobs that will significantly change, because agentic AI will be able to take over certain tasks, probably in a way that it might even be easier to target people really based on their behavior, target people really based on their history, on their history with regards to using something, or to having researched about something, and so on and forth. So I assume that the agentic AI and marketing will bring us to much more precise targeting, much less like CPM deals. I have a banner, I put it on some website, and it's going to be just there for almost everybody. I think this will disappear. What will be much more the reality of the future is that the AI knows who. So my AI knows me because I'm working with it. I'm working with it privately. I'm working with it business-wise. So it learns who I am, what I know, what I want, what interests me, and what doesn't. And I think advertisers will be able to utilize this, to leverage this, and to make much better personal recommendations to me that are truly personal recommendations, not viewers that have viewed this like this too, or buyers that have bought this buy this too. That will soon be very old. I think it's much more, hey, I know me as your AI, I know you love this. So look at this, look at that. Yeah, and as a marketer, it will be extremely success critical to be able to adapt to this. It will be much more modular. And I think you will have to teach the other side of the AI, what would we call it, the advertiser side of the AI, to really understand your product and all its aspects and all its probably have an own experience of your product. So AI can be a user as well. And then advertise the product really tailor-made with tailor-made communication to that specific person. I think that will be the future. We're not yet there, so this is nothing we can see today, but we might be seeing it next year. This is not 10 years away from us. So, and this is the true challenge today as a marketing person in the games industry. I think I can't imagine that anybody is not working with AI right now, like significantly working with AI. So for me personally, so when I start my workday, I'm opening my my Slack, my email program, and my second tab after my email program is already my GPT. Um, and I have currently 4 agents running there doing stuff for me. Not all of them are automatically, but they are, as you said, specialized for certain tasks. Then we are using here N8N, which is a maker platform where you can create your additional agents that do stuff for you. And I can't imagine that anybody in the industry working on the business administration side of things or in the marketing world is not using it in a similar way. But it is all still helping, it is all still being an addition. I think it will replace a couple of the things we do entirely and do them autonomously without us triggering. And let's face it, it might replace some jobs in the next couple of years. That's another challenge. Um, yeah, I think this is the current picture of that.
Yeah, and I think that's a very honest take. When I look at agentic AI, I think the ability is to be able to go into each individual agent, whether it's on Python or through whatever platform you're using, and
Yeah,
tailoring it exactly for what is its context or what is its background or what is, and you can actually type this in real language, or you can go into Python and really start tweaking it with temperature and all these terms I learned yesterday, which I have no idea what they mean.
hmm
But I think when we think about jobs, the ability for these tools, these agentic AI tools, to empower individuals to go beyond just I am only as strong as being in a larger company. I think that's going to quickly go away to the point where people can do things on their own. They can start their own
yeah,
companies. They can start their own
yes,
game studios.
yes,
Um, I think it's very quick. Every single innovative technology gets demonized at the start of it. It was the same for the
yes.
radio, for the television, and then we move towards the internet, and we're doing the same thing with AI.
So true, so true.
With the caveat, though, that there's been nothing ever this powerful. Like, this is
I agree
scary.
with you.
I
Agree with
had
you.
I had this crew AI was optimizing my agentic flow based on problems it identified, and then it fixes it
Yes,
themselves, and all I'm
yes,
pressing is a button. I think that's crazy. Beyond everything else,
absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
used to everything else. Yeah.
No, no, no. I agree with you. Very interestingly, I lately read. So the town I've been born is Nuremberg, in
Yeah.
Bavaria in Germany, and between Nuremberg and its neighbor town Fürth, there has been the first train in Germany going back and forth, the first railroad going back and forth a long time ago. And I read through the protocols of the discussions the doctors had back then, whether or not that's going to be good or bad. And the doctors basically said this will cause, like being a passenger on one of these trains will cause brain damage because it goes so fast. It was 30 kilometers an hour back then. It goes so fast that if the train stops, your brain will always bump into your skull back and forth, and this will cause brain damage, and people will have seizures and ultimately gonna die from that. So that was the medical opinion back then, Of course, when we look on this from now, it seems to be ridiculous. So obviously our body is able to go much faster without any damage. Look at like planes and rockets and whatever we have. Um, so, but I agree on the other side with what you said. We never had an intelligence out there that probably might outperform human intelligence in the foreseeable future, if not already. I lately read that GPT-5.1 has an IQ of like 120 or 130 or something. Yeah, and we don't yet know where this is going, but it's out of the box and we will not get it back again. So we have to live with it. And currently, I need to say I actually enjoy it a lot. It makes me more efficient. It makes me faster. My multitasking abilities have been strengthened by this because I don't need to, spend as much time with certain things I've been doing in the past.
I've one example. I teach a product management course, and now I'm trying to learn product management with AI in general. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about how to explain this to people. And the band, the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Of course, one of the
Of
best
course,
bands
the
ever.
best bands. Okay, so
Yeah.
Rick Rubin was their producer for a couple albums, right?
Okay.
And Rick Rubin has zero technical ability.
Okay.
But what and he will always say it in every documentary you see about him, or when he has an interview, he's like, "Look, I don't know how to use the console. I don't know how to kind of produce a song, but I have a taste and feel for the art behind it. I
Mm-hmm.
know what's good and I know what's not. I know how to get the best out of this process that happens."
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of, as I'm kind of do more AI and learn more about it, that's kind of how I'm starting to see how we're supposed to work with AI. We have this contextual understanding of the world, which the AI can never have because we're
Yeah.
human. And we have to be kind of like Rick Rubin. We're not necessarily going to jump into the AI and know exactly how it works inside and
Very
out,
interesting. Mm.
but we're more, okay, this agent feels right to me. This output feels good. Or maybe I
Yeah.
want to change the tone here, or I need it to search in a different way. And we make these tweaks. And that to me is the most sane way right now to see how
Mm-hmm.
this technology gets used.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just a bunch of Rick Rubins, basically.
I absolutely agree. So when we prompt stuff, regardless if it's text, pictures, sound, whatever, currently it's a lot like what it's it's defined. The result is defined by what we ask for and how we ask for it. Um, I'm pretty sure through what I read that this will disappear in the next couple of months and years. So the outcomes of what we are capable of or what the AI is capable of working with us will not as much be anymore this like prompt engineering. I think the prompt engineering term will disappear soon entirely because the AI will much better be able to anticipate what our initial intention was, what our desire for a result was, even if we might not be able to phrase it properly or even to put it in certain, in a certain format. So I think this will disappear, but still currently I totally agree with you. It is a lot defined by the way how we steer it. And yeah, I mean, obviously humans will always have things AI probably never can have to that extent. Empathy, love, passion. That is something that can't be replaced by computers. I don't think today, and I don't think tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I do want to get to kind of Nitrado a bit and just
Yeah.
unpack kind of server infrastructure. Can you explain that to someone who's a 5-year-old, like, or let's say 10-year-old? Because
Hmm.
I'm a gamer. I
Hmm.
play online games. I've played World of Warcraft my whole life. I've played kind of games on console. I've been playing Arc Raiders, and the ability for people to do actions. I think we underestimate how quickly these signals have to be sent across the world for the
Yeah.
game to feel real time and just feel good that I'm speaking to someone while they're shooting, and all these things are happening in milliseconds.
Yeah.
I see it as magic. How would you explain it?
So I mean, actually, Nitrado has been grown big over 20 years with a simple offer. You can have your own game server without any technical knowledge. That is basically the promise we keep since over 20 years. Have your game server, play with your bunch of people, friends, family, community, clan, guild, whatever it is, on your own server, on your terms, with your rules. As easy as you install an app on your smartphone. That's the core promise, and that's what Nitrado delivers. And with that, there is a lot happening on the back end of things, literally. So there is not only a server standing somewhere. There is an entire technical infrastructure that makes sure that this server is extremely well connected across the world to other instances, so that if you play with your friend from Los Angeles and the other friend from Australia, and there's a third one sitting in Europe, that all these folks can actually play together, and that whatever they do has a consequence in everybody other's client, within milliseconds, as you said. So, and to maintain this, you really need to build up, yeah, a lot of things and to optimize them over a long time. And this is basically, yeah, that's the promise of Nitrado. So that's one side of what Nitrado does. And we have served, over the course of the years, we have served almost 6 million people across the world on all continents. Currently, we have around 250,000 servers active, running. People paying for it, plus 10, 20-fold people connected to it, playing on them. But then there is something else came up the last 6 to 8 years, which is services for game studios. So with all the infrastructure that is there, with all this technical backbone, with all this content delivery networks in the background, and all the fast paths of data across the world, we obviously are very able and very experienced in providing this, and studios need the same thing. So when a studio offers a multiplayer game online and they offer servers for it, regardless if it's a session-based game, or it is a persistent game like an MMO, there are servers needed for that, to connect people or to be the platform people have their assets on. And we provide studios with these servers, but we don't provide it as we call it bare metal. It's not the machine that is being in some data center and we say, hey, here is your access to this root machine. This is something other providers do as well. What we do on the B2B side of things, we offer a multiplayer focused software layer on top of that. It's actually built on top of Agonis and Kubernetes on open source standards, and it offers what the industry calls orchestration. So it's an orchestration layer, and in addition to that, there is an anti-DDoS solution. We can talk about this in a minute, but the orchestration layer brings one thing specifically. It makes sure that you can host this game not only on bare metal or on cloud, but you can do both as a game studio. So you will have as many bare metal servers utilized as you want, and for the capacity you need, like release days, patch days, DLC releases, marketing campaigns, large player spikes that come planned or unplanned, they can be automatically, we call it burst, but like sent to cloud hosters, So, and this hybrid solution that you have bare metal on the one hand, which is more performant than cloud computing, because you have, you don't share this machine as a studio with others. As like when you go to a cloud provider, you will always be on a shared resource. You don't know what is actually happening on that machine. If you do use bare metal, you are having this as a dedicated resource with all its CPU and RAM power, so it's more performant to be hosting on bare metal, and it's much cheaper. It's much cheaper because you don't go into a contract that you can cancel any minute. So you do have to commit to a certain time frame, but this time frame is like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, whatever you want. And and then you get a much better price. So on the one hand, you have a higher performance, a higher hardware performance. On the other hand, you have a much lower price. So this is what we offer to studios, and it became, through the last 2 years, 24 and 25, it became increasingly important because studios, there has been the term in the industry going around, survive 25. So studios need to look at their cost, probably a bit more than this was the case in the pandemic situation where everybody was locked in at home and was playing games. So in this offer, the software layer we offer on top of this bare metal hosting, this is our second solution, or our B2B offering we have for the industry. And in addition to that, we have a patented anti-DDoS solution called Steel Shield, something that is patented because it does protect game servers. It has been created for game servers, and it protects game servers in a way that no other solution out there protects them. And it keeps game servers alive under attack. So while other solutions basically take down the attack parts of the infrastructure to protect the rest of the infrastructure, we go another way and we keep this specific attacked server still alive under attack. And yeah, as I said, patented because it's unique, and we have pretty large studios rely on this solution, and we are very proud to be to have been selected by them to serve them.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have grown immensely. I was doing some reading last night, and it's really cool to see how quickly Nitrado has grown. I think I agree with you that there are more economic pressures nowadays where studios have to think about these things. It sounds to me like one of your largest unique selling points from kind of the business side is that you guys are very flexible. You have B2C offerings, B2B, and also not only you allow people to scale up with the service rather than I've worked for an MMORPG. I've worked in other companies where kind of we might have our own servers or they have their own servers. And then there's a bit of a scramble to be like, oh, we need to get, I don't know, Australia online or Europe or maybe South America. And there's a bit of that delay to make that happen. And to me, it sounds like through Nitrado, I can just kind of have a conversation with a customer service representative and just be like, hey, we need to actually add more capacity in this region. And is it fast? Is it that easy? Like you guys just kind of connect it to all your data centers. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So we are co-hosting or co-located in 11 data centers around the world. We are connected to all the clouds out there. So we will be able to get online any game instance or any game infrastructure you need within a very short period of time. We have many thousand own machines in these data centers. So that's one part of our, let's call it a inventory. And then we cooperate with companies like Service.com, OVH, LeaseWeb, Gcore, big suppliers of additional game server capacities that we can add to this stack if needed. And if that is not enough, as I said, we can burst into the cloud. Our orchestration is perfectly able to do this. So yeah, working with us means being wherever you need to be in a very fast time. Obviously, it is always favorable to plan ahead with us your capacity needs, but in case you have some unplanned demand, GameFabric is the solution to make sure you're not gonna hit your limits, you're not gonna hit a cap and not be able to sell as much as a games company as you wanted to.
Yeah. And I like the fact that your B2C angle with modding, I think, is really important because I think the biggest games nowadays, if you've seen like a recent statistic, players are playing like the top 10 games in the world are franchises that have been around for many, many years, right?
Yeah.
And the survivability of those franchises, I believe, depends directly on how much they open up their game to modding communities and to people who can open up their own servers, play with their own friends. Basically, if you've played a certain game for so long, you want to make your own rules and maybe have something a bit more private that's not just open for the public and whether it's Rust, etc. Can you talk to me more about kind of the B2C side of things? Like I was just reading through Nitrado, all these mods. I'm fascinated with mods. I think it's the future. It's very much the present, but I think it can go even further than what it is right now. What are your thoughts?
I have to so much agree. I mean, what's the biggest game out there currently? What would you say?
The biggest game out there right now, in terms of contemporary, right now, I think Arc Raiders is really running with it. But if you think in general, yeah, like you look at the GTAs, the Skyrims,
Minecraft.
Minecraft, of course.
Minecraft, you know. So what is Minecraft? Minecraft is something Mojang back then put online, and since then they have done a lot of development on it without any question, but much more lines of code and much more content has been added to this by the modding community out there. I am 100% sure that Minecraft wouldn't be what it is today if modders wouldn't have made it this, you know. And there are so many other examples out there. Like if you look at what DayZ, for example, DayZ started as a mod for Arma. What other examples do we have? Look at the Ark franchise. Ark, very important game for us because it still has a super large community out there, loved by millions of people. Many game servers for the franchise out there. I'd say like almost all of them have mods to a certain degree. Yeah, almost all of them are being not played in the vanilla sense that the game has been initially released. What else do we have there? I mean, PUBG, very famous example, exists because of mods. One of the, or probably the most selling or most multi-played FPS game out there, Counter-Strike, was a mod to Half-Life. So modding is the thing. And with what we call nowadays hype coding, so coding with AI, I think this will tremendously increase because modders still need to be technically very viable or affine or competent. I think AI will reduce this barrier, and many more people will be able to create the content or change certain aspects of a game the way they want it. And for the gaming studios, I mean, I'd say almost all gaming studios have understood this very well. So I never met anyone in the gaming industry talking to these professionals of the studios that would say, I don't want my game to be modded, or we don't want or like modders, you know. Look at GDA. You called up the IP a couple of minutes ago. Look at what FiveM does
Yes.
or did for GDA, and they have been acquired by the IP owners of GDA. So
Rockstar,
obviously,
yeah.
yeah, again, somebody made something outside of the company, and the company perceives it as so important that they actually buy it. And we will see what happens with GDA 6, but I could imagine that that had a reason that doesn't only assign to GDA 5, but might go beyond this, you know, why FiveM has been bought. So modding, extremely important for players, for the attractivity of games. And I myself use it strongly. So when I play Ark, my tame time for my dinos is much reduced because I don't want to wait for a couple of hours until my dinosaurs are being tamed. And I think many people that don't have that time to play games are really relying on these mods. And others that have played something like Minecraft a couple of hundred hours and need new content, need a different angle to the game, need more challenge in it, stronger opponents, whatever it is, you know, to increase their or keep up their strong retention with the game, they rely on mods. So modding is economically very important for the games ecosystem, for the studios, for companies like us, and obviously for the players. Yes.
I could not agree more. This is something that I continue to bring up with almost every guest on the podcast. I'm completely fascinated by the future of modding, only because like you mentioned, a lot of kind of modding start in gaming started with like the Half-Lives and just people just kind of taking the base of the game and saying, let's build something else out of it. And this has kept up steadily, and you see a Minecraft, Skyrim, getting up to GTA. Again, when we look back to agentic AI, and not even agentic AI, but the idea that you can prompt your way to AI, and that modding up until now, especially in my last area of work, it was a very technical endeavor. Like you have the most brilliant technical people on the planet that can really take old code from games from a decade ago and be able to build incredible tools and features out of.
Yes.
But once you have prompting that can do C++ and Lua and can start doing things for you, to me, that feels like a tsunami that is coming that I don't think the gaming world completely understands. And then I think of GTA 6, and I look at GTA 5 and what the modders have done with roleplay and the FiveM servers and the RedM servers, and I think, is GTA 6 going to be the greatest modding platform ever created?
We don't know yet, right? But I'm excited to. I can't wait. Like millions of other people can't wait. I'm very excited. So you might have read in our announcements across the last 12 months that we have been accredited to be a supplier on FiveM, an official one. We can't wait for GTA 6 to be released and to see where this journey goes. But I agree with you. It will be increasingly important to the ecosystem. Look at Roblox.
Yeah, exactly.
Roblox basically is modding, not as a side topic, but it is modding. You know, it's the platform that enables you to create your own game, and how successful it is. It's a global phenomenon. I have two kids, 12 and 9 years old. I'd say 50% of the time they spend with games, it's Roblox.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, please finish.
No, it's okay. And when I look at what they play on Roblox, for me, I love AAA games. I love indie games. I love like block games like Minecraft, voxel games, and I love brilliant graphics like in Battlefield 6. And I'm used to all of this. But looking at Roblox, this is so raw partially. This is so like graphically not really polished and everything, but my kids love it, and they don't play the content that has been created by big parties. It is the small things that their friends have been doing, that somebody in their class has been doing. That is the places where they meet, and that the games, or it's not always really a game design concept in that sense. There are sometimes no loops. It's like it is a mixture between Second Life back then. You know, it's a very old thing that never made it to 2025. So they just spend their time. They meet there. They grow their crops. They play jump and run. They configure their assets. They make sure that they look that their figures look as they want them to look, and so on and forth. So modding as a foundation of a business model, this is what basically Roblox is, and we will see much more of this in the future due to AI. Absolutely.
100%. And I have a very interesting conversation I'm going to have in a couple of weeks with Colin Neese, who lives in LA, works with kind of cinema and gaming. He's at the intersection of it. And I had a quick one-to-one with him before the episode recording because we were scheduling it. And he was telling me we should not be looking at Roblox right now, but we should think of it as what it will be in 10 years. Because right now, Roblox, if you think about it, is poor graphics, kind of it's just a really poor I don't want to go at it because it does so well, but it can be so much better. So take Roblox and then maximize it to what it can be. And that is, that will be we no longer can just see genres for what they are, because once you have younger generations coming in and just completely unfettered access to building your own game and doing whatever you want, we're going to be at the whims of younger generations. Because I don't know, for me, World of Warcraft is so important because I played it in middle school. I go to school and every single kid was talking about Karazhan and raiding, and I was trying to get into a raid spot, and I was just, it was the thing to do then. And
Yes. Yes.
imagine if kids can just create their own games like they do in real life, but virtually at it with all your
That's
server
crazy. It's
infrastructure
crazy.
and hundreds of people running. Like it's insane.
And there are already examples of high-end graphic games on the Roblox platform. So very lately, I've seen an FPS concept. Not only concept, it was actually in-game footage of a games on the Roblox platform, of an FPS game on the Roblox platform, which had brilliant graphics. So I didn't even know that this was already possible, but it is obviously. Surely nothing that school kids could do by themselves today, but tomorrow they will be able to do this. And that's going to be a very exciting future of the industry, right?
It's really, if you don't catch up to this, what
Yeah.
I experienced yesterday with the prompting and the agentic AI just blew my mind. And it's like this, it's
Yeah.
fixing things for me. I'm just pressing buttons. Imagine if I can just say, build me a server in Skyrim, and then you just put in prompt after prompt after prompt, and then you can copy paste other people's set prompts and bring it into your own and tweak it.
Yes.
And it's the same fundamental building blocks from programming, but now these prompts unpack hundreds,
Yes.
thousands of lines of code.
Yes.
It's all the same thing. It's just that
Mhm.
before, very technical people only had access to it. And now it's the democratization of it, which will call into question, like Rockstar, for instance. I love Rockstar. I love GTA. I love everything that they're
So
doing.
do I,
They
yeah.
have such an interesting kind of, I wouldn't say dilemma, but I see it more as an opportunity. But you have their internal studio of brilliant people that have been building GTA for the last 10 years, GTA 6. And
Yeah.
now they're going to be presented with kind of this modding community that has kind of slowly matured through FiveM in the last 10 years. And I've been kind of reading into all their their discussions on their forums, etc. Rockstar has to decide, like, how is it going to split this opportunity? Because you have the game experience itself and the story and where it's based, Los Santos and beyond. And then you have whatever the hell you want. Like you want to be on the, you want to be on the moon, or you want to be in a completely different city. Modders can make that happen. To what extent does Rockstar give that liberty to the modding community, and when do they do it, and how do they do it in a way that doesn't kind of go against, I think, the experience that they're providing, which is the gameplay and the story of actual GTA, maybe their online version of the game. Long rant, but I put myself in the shoes of Rockstar, which finds itself at the intersection of these technologies. And what do you do? I find that fascinating. I don't know.
Yeah, I get your point, and they surely will wrap their heads around this, or will have wrapped their heads around this. On the other hand, though, when you again look at Minecraft, people, customers, consumers, they're very educated nowadays, so they perfectly well understand what is coming from the studio and what is coming from the ecosystem of modders and the community. If you look at Minecraft, people perfectly well know this, and people know when they're using a mod and they hit a wall, they have problems with it or whatever, that this is not something the studio has created. This is not something the studio is responsible for. And I think the same assigns not only to technical problems they might meet, but to as well as, let's say, the kind of content. So I'm quite sure that even owners of such big IPs like GTA might not be too concerned about the nature of the content that is being created there. But I guess ultimately they will have some influence on it. So if somebody does something that does not fit to the values of that studio, they will likely still be able to stop anybody doing something, excuse me, that could harm the entire IP. So yeah.
And I want to ask, because we were talking about server hosting infrastructure, how do you see the future of it? Because I try to imagine, look, my ultimate dream in my career, my aspiration is to get as close as I can to Ready Player One. Like, I believe that maybe in 20, 30 years, we may get very close to another coming of World of Warcraft moment where everyone's like, wow, we're all connected in a way that has never happened before. We're in a role-playing environment. How does that work with server hosting? Like, how, if I had to give you an example of the most kind of
Yeah.
far-fetched MMORPG in the next 2 decades, 3 decades, where do you see the technology catching up? Because you talk about metal, you talk about the cloud. Is cloud the
Mhm.
future? Will it all be cloud? Will metal always be a thing because it just performs better? But how do you scale
Mhm.
towards a fantasy demand like a Ready Player One?
Mhm. Mhm. I mean, cloud is at the end bare metal in a data center, you know? So it is technologically, hardware side, it's the same thing. It is just being sold differently, and it is being um, priced much differently. And there are obviously, as I said, there are differences with regards to, do you really have limited access to a machine and share this machine with probably many others, and share the RAM and CPU power of this machine with many others, and do many others access this machine and do stuff with it that might increase or limit for you personally the CPU and RAM you have currently available for what you want to do with it. So this is what you have with the cloud, but cloud is still, it's at the end of the day, it's still silicone and metal in a data center, you know.
Yeah.
So I do not think personally that in the next 5, in the next 10 years, we will see this being changed to an extent that one or the other disappears. So I don't see this for many reasons. There are even compliance reasons, legal reasons, and other reasons among them. I think we will see, obviously, what AI comes with is a strong demand in more hardware out there. And let's see if AI has to still run on the kind of machines that run AI today. So very GPU heavy machines. So we need to see. At the end of the day, the gaming or the games of the future, I think they will very much rely on a very comparable infrastructure than we have it today, at least in the next 5 to 10 years. And so we see a growing demand in that sense. We don't see too much growing complexity, because the level we are at right now already enables people to be connected across the world. Of course, to play in Australia with somebody in Europe is nowadays still a challenge due to, you know, the the distance a data package needs to go from A to B. So we don't have fiber across the globe currently, you know. So there is still a lot of copper involved in all these transporting data packages. So as I think more and more fiber connectivity across the world will even solve these problems much better, because there it can travel with light speed. And then we actually might not have, as we do still have today, this limitations of, if I'm playing my online game and it's a fast paced game like an FPS. On Battlefield 6 today, I can't play against someone sitting in Australia, but in 5 to 10 years, this will very likely be possible. And then we have really this global experience. I think this is what's going to change. But apart from that, I don't see too many changes.
Yeah. What makes sense to me is that we want to all reach a standard that is accepted in terms of lag, in terms of just speed of connection. And I had a guest on the show in the past tell me, at the end of the day, when you're doing server hosting and infrastructure, you're operating with physics. Like, you can't go faster
Yeah.
than the speed of light. So
Yeah.
that's the baseline. But
Yeah.
it's about improving that connectivity. And I think all games should reach a certain standard, because if you're a new game coming out in the market, or a new studio, or even an existing studio with a next title, if lag hits your game, if there's a delay for a lot of players, or any kind of those issues, they're super noticeable now, because long gone are the days where you're forgiving of lag because you think, oh, it's your
Oh yeah.
internet. Or
Oh yeah.
like, now
Yeah. Yeah.
players are like, I will not play this. Like,
That's
it
true.
has to be like that.
That's absolutely true. Yes.
and that kind of contributes to this idea of we're gonna hit that standard where all these games have to be at
Yeah.
that level. And I think that's what I think you guys are doing really well, is being so flexible and open to kind of different use cases and personas of buyers or players. I think that's the future. Just allow people to play as smoothly as they can, as
Yeah.
connected as possible, and then we'll see where the tech takes us.
Yeah, absolutely. We have utilized the current technology available for us to make sure our data flows as fast as any possible to the absolute maximum. And but we still rely on cables in the ground and through the water and wherever they are. And some of these are still copper based, and not all of them are fiber cables. But this is like my household just got connected to a fiber network 2 months ago. So 3 months ago, I still was on a copper cable getting my connectivity. That changed now, and for a lot of households, this is going to change in the next couple of years. And as soon as data travels with speed of light, like entirely everywhere, then I think the problem of not being able to play across the globe concurrently, simultaneously, will be gone, and that's awesome. That's more diverse people at the same time in the gaming environment you want to be in, and yeah, I really look forward to this, because even if some of these environments people play together can be rude and a bit emotional from time to time, as long as people play together and talk to each other, I think that has a big influence on understanding each other, having been in touch with each other, knowing that somebody on the other side of the planet is more or less the same person than you are. And I hope that this has a big impact on, yeah, at the end of the day, peace. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful goal, connecting the whole world. Raphael, if you had advice for, I'm gonna break it down into two.
Yeah.
One is for a small to mid-sized studio that want to release maybe their first game.
Mm-hmm.
What are kind of the first three things that you tell them to do in terms of just kind of making sure that they can release and have a stable connection, or just they want to get there? Let's say, I don't want to say MMORPG because I don't see a smaller medium studio
I
doing
get it. Yeah.
MMORPG. But let's say a kind of spin-off of an FPS. What would you advise them?
Yeah. So I obviously I will keep my advice on the areas where I do have competence, and there is so much more they have to take into account. So I'm not talking about how they're gonna fund what they do, how they're gonna like get their, if it's an indie, get their other probably job they will have as a day job in line with what their dream is in becoming a game studio, and so on and forth. But with regards to infrastructure and multiplayer targets they might try to follow up, plan as early as any possible the part of how is your multiplayer infrastructure working on the back end of things. I get it that they need to focus or that the initial or the ignition they experience is they want to make a specific game, and they envision this game and how it's going to be played, and the game design of it, and how it's feeling, and how the sound of the game is, and what is your experience playing the game. And that's obviously the most important thing. But don't go too late into the question, how will my infrastructure look on the game? We experience this a lot, that companies have built up incredible games, but they have never been evaluating too much into how they're going to set up the infrastructure. And consultations with a party like us early on can save them a lot of headache in the future. Because there are certain type of lock-ins, if you have developed everything for the cloud, for example, and have not thought about hybrid hosting, about bare metal, what it can do to your performance and your cost, and you try to do this a couple of months before release, it might be too late. I mean, it never really is too late if you want to go the stunt and change a couple of things before release, but it's much easier at the beginning. So that's, I think, the most important suggestion or recommendation is to talk to a party like us early on and make sure that your infrastructure needs are being taken into account into your game design and into your production as early as any possible.
Got it. Thank you for that. I think then the final one, and look, it's a great privilege to be able to talk to you. You're CEO of an incredible company trying to connect the world. What is a hard lesson that you think more leaders should talk about openly about running a company at the level that you are? Like, what is something that you've learned? Doesn't even have to be a hard lesson necessarily, but a takeaway.
So I think the most important lesson that you should have learned when you lead a company is to have found a company yourself. I think that really is the hardest lesson, because only then you will learn what it needs to get your idea into the world, to build it, to fund it, to excite people for it that will work with you on it, and then to sell it to people, like the whole value chain from idea to customer service. If you have never run through this on your own, being the one or the co-founder, and really experienced how hard it is to create $1, euro, or any other currency in EBITDA, in profit, then you will never entirely get it. What one currency unit is really worth, what's really the worth or the value of it. So I think this would be if I only could have one recommendation to people that want to lead a company of 50, 100, 150, 500, 1,000 people, it will be very beneficial for them if they have founded something, a company, not a hobby or not a football team, and not a games clan. A lot of times I hear, I have founded a clan. So in the gaming world, this is worth something, and you make very interesting experiences with this. No question. You need a lot of organization. You need to build up infrastructure for these people to meet somewhere. But still, it's much different to have an idea that fits a market need, to build it, really execute on the idea, and then really sell it, and then really do customer service for it. That's different. And I think that's the most important lesson you could learn on your way to leading a company. And ideally, you do this very early in your life. So I will definitely motivate my kids, not tomorrow because they're only 12 and 9 years old, but as soon as they drop out of their basic school education, as soon as they are somewhere on their journey, regardless if it's university or wherever they might go, but as soon as they hit, I'd say, like their age of 17, 18, 19, I will motivate them to go through this experience, because it will tell you a lot about economics, life, and what it really takes to be successful in the economic space.
Yeah, it's incredibly humbling to try to find product market fit with any kind of
Thank you.
venture.
Humbling is a very good term in
Yeah,
that sense. Yeah, I agree with you. It's humbling.
Because you read about all these things like, oh, you have to have vision, you have to be able to get people to follow you, and you have to be able to extract value from a service that you're doing, whether it's digital or a physical product. And that is so immensely hard to get people
Yeah,
to do that.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, yeah,
And I think for anyone listening, it's not so much about, oh, you have to come out and have a successful company, but I think the approach of trying to build something new and trying to create something yourself over and over. And I've done this personally, so I can speak to what you're saying because I've not to any major success, but trying to build things and
yeah.
learning along the way and just trying to convince people to come with you and I think that's really helped me, and that's what kind of what pushed me into product management in the first place.
Hmm.
Um, but on top of all this, I think your advice really echoes other guests because when I speak to game designers or producers or product managers, they all tell me the same thing: go build your own game. Like if
Yeah.
you want to learn the most valuable thing, you need to get there
Yes.
and code it out.
Yes.
You need to work with others to see where disagreements are, to understand where
Yes.
your game fits within a market. And I've
Hmm.
spoken to some incredible designers, even from Landmark Games, that would tell me how important it is to understand who your audience is
Hmm.
and gearing around that and making the right bets. So I think that's amazing advice. And I love that you're approaching it from kind of building your own business standpoint
Hmm.
because it's always the same thing at the end of the day. It's just
It's
do
always the
something
same
on
thing.
your
You
own.
need to make your like responsibility you carry alone, at least initially, over the course of starting to build up something, weighs much harder than if you join something that has already went a certain piece or a certain yeah, that already ran some meters that
Yeah.
path. So this is very, very different. And when I see today, like the costs that we do have, like the thousands of euros running through, every day, um, to earn €1,000 or dollars or whatever currency by yourself through what you have built your own. If you have this experience, how valuable these resources are you have to spend every day to maintain a company like this or grow it. I mean, that's the ultimate target. And only by the humbleness you learned through this, you will be a very thoughtful economical leader and use your resources respectfully and try to use them as smart as any possible. I think this is a very important lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Raphael, where can people find you online or learn more about Nitrado and GameFabric?
Yeah. So I'm, I'd say everywhere. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on every chat app out there. Obviously, if you want to see Nitrado, come to nitrado.net. Our B2B offer for game studios is on gamefabric.com. And yeah, I think the easiest way to address me is LinkedIn. So, and I'm always happy to get in touch with people that come up with fresh ideas and see something I might not have yet seen. So yeah, happy to get in touch with anybody.
Fantastic. And we'll have the description in the video below. But Raph, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, for accepting to
Thank
do
you.
this podcast. I did just reach out to you kind of blindly on LinkedIn, and
Yeah,
it's been a great honor to speak to you. It's been a lot of fun.
thank you very much. Thank you for your thoughtful questions. And yeah, I will keep following you and best of success with the other guests.